Hello and welcome back to Vagabond Vans. So I'm going to do a series of videos on how to use SketchUp. It's a great free tool to help you design and plan out your project, whether that's a camper van conversion or a woodworking project, or just any DIY project really. If you haven't done so already, check out my other video on how to download a free version of the SketchUp software. This is the full version, not the online app, but actually how to download the full version. So I'll put a link up here, or maybe here, I don't know. This video focuses on the basics of SketchUp, how to create basic shapes and navigate around the software. If you've used 3D CAD before, then you can probably skip this video and move on to one of my later videos where I explore some of the more advanced techniques. For example, how to create pipework, assign materials, and create layers within your design. So if you're totally new to 3D CAD, it's computer-aided design for the uninitiated, then this video is for you. So let's get started. Okay, so I've just opened up SketchUp. So hopefully your screen looks something like this. If it doesn't, it's probably because you've got different toolbars. So these are the toolbars along the side and the top, or different trays selected. So the trays are these on the right hand side. Again, to change the trays that you have available to view, you just click on either the grey bar at the top, so right click on there, and then you get all the possible tools that you can have. So I've got large tool sets selected, so you can see that just turns off the bar on the left hand side there, so we'll turn that back on. But yeah, I'd recommend having all the ones selected that I've got, just so it's the same. And I mean, you can go through and click each one and see exactly what it is, but these are the ones that you need to do all the things that I'm going to teach in this series of videos. So have getting started ticked, large tool set, layers, standard, views, and warehouse selected. And if you go into that toolbars option at the bottom, it's just essentially that menu again, and then you can choose to reset them all or create a new setting, but that's all that we need to do for now. Now if you go over here to the right hand side, this is what are called trays. It's effectively another set of toolbars or menus, and in here you don't edit it by right clicking, because I'm right clicking on there now and nothing's happening. You need to go up to window. You then need to go, you can either go manage trays, or this is my default tray. See down here it says default tray and tray 1. This is my default tray. So go on here to the default tray menu, and then I've got selected entity info, which you can see here, components, which you can see here. If I were to scroll down, you'd see materials and layers. So make sure you've got all of those selected. We're not really going to be using the features in the trays in this video, but in future videos we will be. So your screen should now be looking the same as mine. You'll notice that it's got this set of axes in the middle of the screen with a red, green and blue axis. We're just going to start off by drawing a rectangle and put one corner of the rectangle on the axis origin, which is there. So I'm going to left click on the origin and just pull the mouse out. You don't need to hold the left click down, you just click once and drag out to the shape that I want. Left click again, which locks that shape in, and then I don't have to click in the dimensions box, I can just type in the dimensions that I want, so 18,44. It already knows that we're working in millimeters. Hit enter, and that has now created a rectangle that's 18,44. You can get the tape measure tool, just place it on the corner point there, click once, and then it will snap to the other corner point, and you can see that's 44mm, and yep, it's 18mm wide. So now I'm going to come out of the tape measure tool, and you can just, so say I've selected that point there. To deselect that point, hit the escape button, and then I'm going to click on the select icon and select that face, so that recognises that as a face, as all of those lines are connected. I'm going to hit the push pull tool, and what this will do is turn this 2D rectangle into a 3D shape. So I've just clicked on that surface, and then I'm just moving the mouse upwards. I'm not holding the left click down, I'm just clicked once and then I'm moving the mouse upwards. So let's say we want this to be 1 meter long. Okay, so to zoom in and out, use the wheel on your mouse. To pan around, you hold that wheel down and then move the mouse. You can also, you'll notice that as I push the wheel down on my mouse, it's selecting this down here, the orbit button. So obviously you can also click on that button and then just left click, hold it down and rotate. Now what you might think is if I use a select tool, I can then drag that across and pan around the canvas, but that isn't how it works. You need to select the pan tool, and that will allow you to pan around, and then you can use the wheel to zoom in. Okay, so say we want to delete that whole object now. Using the select tool, left click, create a box around the object, highlights it in blue, and then you can just hit delete. So other tools that basic tools that come in handy, circle tool. Let's place the origin of that circle on the axis origin there, or the center of that circle on the axis origin. And then, so I've just clicked once and it's creating a circle about that point. And then again down here is it gives the radius, so let's create a circle of 200mm radius. So I'll just you can either click and then type the dimensions in, or type the dimensions in and hit enter. So I'm going to put 200, press enter, and it's created a circle that is 200mm. So let's measure that just to prove it. So yeah, a radius of 200mm. You can see down here it gives the measurement length. So I click on my select tool. We're now going to use a tool called the offset tool. So this is really handy tool actually, and it can save a lot of work. For now I'm going to use it to create a, so we wanted to create a metal tube or something like that. Click on that outer edge of the circle. Now I know that this metal tube has a wall thickness of, let's say, I don't know, it's pretty hefty, 10mm. So you've now got two circles there, the original circle, 200mm circle, and then another circle offset to the outside, which is this one, and that is 210mm radius. So it's 10mm offset from the original circle. Now what we can do is select the inner, the face of the inner circle, hit delete. That leaves us with this ring shape. And now that has left a face in between the two circles. So to create a pipework or a tube, we use the push-pull tool again and click on that face and then just move the mouse upwards. You can also go the other way, but yeah, let's create something that again, I don't know, is 1 meter long, so 1000 mil, type that in, press enter. We've got a bit of a stumpy tube there. So now I'm going to get rid of the stumpy tube that I created. I'm going to create another batten as we did before. So I'm going to create it 18 by 44 mil again. So I'm going to press enter, then hit 18, 44, press enter, and that gives me the dimensions. Then I'm going to use the push-pull tool to create that 1 meter long, 1000 mil. And then I'm going to use the pan tool, which is down here, to drag that to the center of my canvas. I'll then use the wheel on the mouse to zoom out a little bit, pan a bit more, and then I can see the whole piece. Now, say for example that the orientation of this component was incorrect. What we would need to do is firstly make this into a component. So at the moment these are all individual faces, they're not linked, and so if I use the move tool, which is this, the 4 arrows there, so I'd selected just that top face, it would just it moves that top face, and then it's altering the geometry of that batten. You'll see that it's moved at an angle. So if I say click that face, it's altering the shape and the dimensions, which generally you don't want. So if I just hit Ctrl Z to undo that. Now what I'm going to do is select the whole component. So I'm going to go up here to my select tool, draw a box around the whole component so that everything's blue. Another way of doing that is to click on one component, then right click and hit select, all connected, and then that has effectively done the same thing as putting a box around it. So I'll do that again. So left click on the piece, then right click, select, all connected, and then I'm going to go, you can either right click and click make component, or up to edit, make component, and you'll notice that there's a shortcut G there. So I'm just going to click that. It's called component number 1, or we'll rename it batten. Hit enter or click create, and now you will see when I can no longer just select one face of that component. When I click on that face, it selects the whole thing, or when I click on the top face there, it selects the whole thing, so that if I then wanted to move the component, it moves the whole thing. I can't just move that top face. So that's how to create a component, which is very important. And you'll also notice that on this tray over here, the batten is now appearing in the component tray. What that means is I can copy those. I don't have to redraw this whole piece. I can just click on that there, and it pulls in another one identical to this. So then cool. You can see two battens side by side, and let's just line those up. So I'm going to select corner point here, and then I'm going to just, once I've got that selected and I'm able to move it around, I'm just going to touch the corner point of the other batten. I've not clicked anything, it's just picked up that point, and you can then keep it on that line so that they line up. So now let's get rid of that second batten that we brought in. So it's already selected, I'll just press delete. And I want to rotate this batten. So it needs to be a component for this to work, because if it's not, I'll show you what happens now. Just go back. So I've just gone Control Z, which is undo, and you can see that it's no longer a component. I've unmade it a component. It's not in this component tray here. I'm going to select this face and click on the rotate tool, and I want to click on the red sort of protractor, click once, drag it out, click again, and you can see that, you know, that's not doing what I want. It's completely distorting the pattern. So that's what happens if you try and rotate before creating a component. So I'll select the whole, all of the sides, all of the faces again, right click, make component, call it pattern, create, and there it is. So that's now a component. That means I can now rotate it without it distorting. So I've selected all the faces, press the rotate tool, clicked on this face here, then click again, and you can rotate that. So that is the basics really. Once you know and have got the hang of what I've covered in this video, you can really create any simple pieces of furniture. So for example, if I wanted to create a really basic table, do that by I mean, this is a bit out of proportion, but that's okay. So I have another pattern. These are the table legs, and then we'll just make sure they're all lined up. So one other tool that is worth mentioning, I touched on it earlier, we use the measure tool just to check the dimensions of the pattern. So that's a meter long, it's 44 by 18, and the measurement just come up here, so it's on 331.7 at the moment, and then I measure it, there's your 44, there's your 18. What you can also do is create guidelines with it. So if I click on a point that isn't the midpoint, so just off the center, click that, hold down, drag out, and then let's say I want 30 centimeters between this pattern and the next one. So I'm going to release, press 300, enter. You'll now see that I've got a construction line here, which is 30 centimeters from there. I could create another one just by clicking there and then clicking on the intersection, and then I could bring a pattern in, put that there, and then it's really easy to position the components exactly where you want them. And then from this second construction line that I did, click on that, drag it out, and let's say it's going to be 500 wide in that direction. So put in 500 mil, and then let's do another one going back that way, 300. Bring in some more legs. Intersection. Let's bring that in. Click on that corner that you want to place on that intersection of the two guidelines. And there's your 4 table legs, all nice and square. And then from here, I'm going to draw a rectangle from that corner to that corner. That's not really what I wanted, but we'll go with it. And then drag down. It's going to be It's using the same buttons, 44. So pull that down, type in 44. And what we need to do is make that a component. So click on one face, right click, select all connected, right click again, make component, call it button 2. And that's appeared in our component tray over here on the right hand side. Hit button 2 and you can drag that one in. Now I can see that something's not quite right here. I've placed one of the legs on the wrong side of the intersection there, so I can change that in a minute. Let's just get this button in. So click on that corner, bring it in line with the other corner, and they should all line up. So let's move that leg so that it's in where we want it to be. So I've selected it. As it's a component, it's selected the whole thing rather than just one face. And click on the move button, select that corner. I'm going to drag that to the corner on button 2. Now let's create a third size of button. So again, select a rectangle, click on that corner, click there, drag down, click, type in 282,44, and then I'm going to pull that across by 18 to give it its depth. Again, select one face, right click, choose select, all connected, right click again, make component, button 3, put one of those in for the other side. We've already got move selected, move that out to there. So that's the basic frame for my table. Now I'm going to create a tabletop. So just follow the outside edge of all these buttons, and then I want the tabletop to overhang, let's just say by, I don't know, 20 mil all the way around. So we're gonna click on that face, right click, select, all connected, then hit the offset tool, click on that line, and then type in my dimension of 20 mil. I can then delete the original rectangle. It's already selected, it's blue. Hit delete. Click on that face that I've created, and I'm going to pull it upwards to give it some height. Let's again do that by 20 mil. I want to make that a component. Select one face, right click, click select, all connected. Right click on that face again, hit make component, and then call this tabletop. And there, I mean, it's pretty tall, but it's a table. If you want to get rid of these construction lines, just go edit, delete guides.